Hi everyone, it's Gary Nicholson here. This is your Planning Outlook video on Tuesday the 28th of August. Now I've got a rather chilly air mass that's back across the country for the rest of this week. Things subtly changing then into the weekend as a more humid southwesterly gets in, which will lower cloud again and bring some patchy rain or drizzle. The general outlook though into early September is plenty of fair weather as high pressure builds in. We may well find that finally we lose the recent dominant west or southwesterly winds. Let's have a look at temperatures first of all, and we'll show you this chart, the familiar 850 millibar level. It's the height that we commonly use in forecasting. It's around 4,500 to 5,000 feet in the atmosphere. Starting off with Wednesday, you can see where a cold front is draped across the country, extending southeast through the day. So that chillier air mass coming in from the North Atlantic, a polar maritime air mass originating around, northern Canada and off Greenland originally. It means that temperatures on the highest Scottish summits through into Thursday will start off only just above freezing, lifting a little bit through the day but staying cool right the way through. And Friday also starts off on a rather chilly note. Ground frost is possible in some of the valleys and the glens, both Thursday and Friday morning. Then we've got warmer air coming up from the southwest through Friday, and temperatures lifting through the day. By the time we go through into Saturday, looking comparatively milder. With that comes more humidity and lower cloud through into the weekend as a whole. If we just skip that on briefly into next week, generally much warmer air is in charge as we go into early September, so the recent chill should be pushed out of the way. Temperatures may vary just a touch across Scotland early in the week, but the general theme for the week as a whole, skipping on over a few days, maintains a much milder, warmer air mass across the British Isles. Let's take you through the charts for the next few days. There's Wednesday. A cold front is sinking southeastwards as we mentioned. We've got lifting cloud bases behind that though, so breaks should be developing increasingly to higher tops. Western Scotland might just struggle with that westerly breeze and bringing a few showers in across the West Highlands. One or two may make themselves all the way across toward the eastern side of the Highlands, and that rather chilly feel in that brisk westerly breeze across higher tops. Into Thursday, and high pressure is building in. Winds are looking very light, that rather chilly feel. It could just be a few local drizzly showers around some of the coastal hills across, say, North Wales, maybe even around Western Scotland in the morning. Those around the coast will fade. One or two leftover showers might make their way inland or just pop up even into the afternoon, but you'll be unlucky to see one. Most places dry with a good amount of sunshine, although fairly cloudy skies, which will tend to fill in inland through the course of the day. Not too much wind around though, and with humidity fairly low, cloud bases will be well up, so many tops clear or clearing, just that rather chilly feel. High pressure stays nearby into Friday. Complications coming in from the Atlantic as fronts begin to edge their way in, mainly affecting Ireland I think for Friday. Could just be some lowering cloud across some of the western coastal hills in Scotland later, maybe some drizzly rain coming on by Friday evening. Just watch your details. It might well be that Friday stays fine all the way through, with a good deal of sunshine around, winds just strengthening a touch I think across more western regions as the day goes on. Now that's Saturday, and fairly weak fronts are trailing northeastwards across the country. A more humid air mass has come in with that. A lot of cloud cover around, low cloud around many western mountains, all the way from Wales to Scotland. Don't take the exact location of that front with any great certainty, but it just tells a story of a zone of patchy rain or drizzle. In some places you could find, say for the Lake District, possibly southwest Scotland, that it's rather drizzly and damp for many hours, even if rainfall amounts are fairly small. So just a rather murky picture. Locally, if you're away from that front, you could find there's some cloud breaks to higher tops, best of those generally towards more eastern mountains. And whilst there's still some uncertainty on what's left on those fronts, fairly high pressure is in charge for Sunday. The airflow is coming up across Scotland, at least from the south-southwest. There should be some cloud breaks a bit more readily, although still around the Irish Sea, perhaps the west coast of Scotland, low cloud may be rather stubborn with that high humidity still in the air. This is where we find ourselves later in the weekend. High pressure is located east of us. We've got a plume of quite warm air coming up from the south, so temperatures lifting as we've mentioned. Still that southwesterly though, and notice the trough shape, the U shape almost to the west of Britain. That's still going to be some fronts trying to edge in from the Atlantic early next week. Still to plague some western mountains with rain or drizzle at times, I think, early next week. But the overall theme, though, is that high pressure should build, shoving those fronts further away towards the north eventually, and high pressure building more over the top of the country as the week goes on. Eventually, as we run towards the later part of the week, it seems likely that high becomes centred more towards Scandinavia or over the North Sea, and the airflow then within that could start to turn east or southeasterly. That's not a bad direction for many mountains because it stops anything coming in from the Atlantic. It means that there's a good chance for cloud breaks to many higher tops. West and northwest Scotland, the Lake District and Wales doing pretty well with that sort of wind direction. It keeps things generally warm and dry. You might just need to watch some low cloud coming off the North Sea, perhaps to more eastern regions, say the borders, southeastern parts of the Highlands, if the air is humid enough. Essentially what we've got towards the end of the week is what we'd refer to as an omega block. That's where the upper air patterns, the pressure patterns at higher levels, take on the shape of the Greek letter omega, and that's shown pretty much by the red colours over central northern Europe on this chart. And what that really means is that we've got a more slow moving weather pattern. It's a bit of a blockage in the upper atmosphere. It stops things coming in on the jet stream from the Atlantic. What it may eventually do, though, is allow something to cut in from the southwest if pressure falls, say, around Biscay or over the Atlantic. And through mid-September onwards, we might just need to watch for developments over the tropical Atlantic, which has been fairly quiet this summer, but many of the meteorologists in the USA think that the tropics could come alive, and of course that could start to have a knock-on effect into our weather patterns, as it often does through the autumn season. That's a long way off for now, though. In the short term, the early part of September looks as though settled weather is building in. We'll keep you right up to date, as always, here in these videos. Next one online for you on Friday. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.